2022 A-Level Physics MCQ question number 21. Consider the following statements made regarding tsunami waves. Statement A. Wavelength of waves in deep water are lower than that in shallow water. Statement B. Speeds of waves are higher in deep water than that in shallow water. Statement C. Amplitudes of the waves in deep water are higher than that in shallow water. Let's consider the tsunami waves. Tsunami waves are a water wave. Tsunami waves are water waves. When waves propagates, water waves, velocity of water waves are given by this equation. The velocity is given by this equation. V equals root gh, where h is depth of the water, g is gravitational acceleration, v is velocity. Therefore, velocity depends on the depth of the water. Velocity of water waves depends on depth of the water, h. When h is increased, velocity also increased. How does velocity increase? How does velocity increase? By water waves. Their wavelength is increased. When the wavelength is increased, the velocity is increased. Let's take V1 and V2, the velocities of one wave, V1 and V2 in two occasions. V2 is greater than V1, the lambda also increased. In second occasion, the velocity also increased, the lambda also increased. The lambda 2 is this one, the lambda 1 is this one. Lambda 2 also greater than lambda 1. And when we consider the energy stored in the tsunami waves or water waves, in deep water its velocity is higher. In deep water, velocity of the water wave is higher. In deep water, velocity is higher. In shallow water, velocity becomes lower. Therefore, kinetic energy stored in deep water is higher, and kinetic energy in shallow water is lower due to V4 smaller than V3. And we know energy we can't destroy, energy we can only convert into another energy. This kinetic energy converted into potential energy when we becomes deep water to shallow water. Therefore, amplitude is increased. A is increased. Increasing amplitude, the potential energy increased and kinetic energy is decreased. Let's consider the statements. Given statements. Statement A. Wavelength of waves in deep water are lower than that in shallow water. That is wrong. Statement B. Speeds of waves are higher in deep water than that in shallow water. B is correct because in deep water the velocity is higher. Statement C. Amplitudes of the waves in deep water are higher than that in shallow water. According to my explanation, amplitude is higher in shallow water. Therefore, statement C is wrong. Therefore, answer is second one. Only B is true. Only B is true.